And welcome back to Ozarks Live. Tom is hanging out at a Creative Escape Glass this afternoon.
Tom, what can you tell us about this unique place?
What I can tell you about this unique place is if you have one of those urges like, boy, I'd really like to know how to do that, this is a great place to start. Rebecca Santiago is with me, the owner of Creative Escape Glass. Good to see you. Thanks for having us in.
Tom.
Tell us about your place a little bit.
Well, we are a glass fusion studio, which is not stained glass, not glass blowing.
Yeah.
Everything the customers are doing is at room temperature, and then once they've assembled the pieces and put them together, we put them in a kiln, and the kiln does all the melting in order to get all the different colors that they assembled into a solid piece of glass.
So you don't have to fool around with the heat. The oven does all of that work for you.
Correct. I do the programming, and the kiln does all the work. So as the customers, you're not touching hot glass at all.
All right. Is this a place, because I said, if you've ever had an urge to be able, is this the kind of place where someone like me, I've never done anything like this, I can learn this sort of skill?
Yes, yes. And most people can cut glass successfully. We used to say all, but no, most people can cut glass successfully, you know. And so we teach you what you need to know in order to have a successful project. So before you come in, we have some training videos on our website. So you watch some basic training videos. Then once you get in the studio, we give you some sample glass and walk you through the actual cutting process.
Yeah, well, let me ask you right there, because you're talking about, you know, we can help you do this. Is this an individual process, or do you take, like, if a bunch of people want to get together and learn how to do this?
Most of the time we're running what's considered open studio so that individuals or small groups can schedule time and they can all come in and make different things. Every once in a while we do formal classes where it's a little bit more structured, or we'll do like corporate or team building events where a work group can come in. And we just had one of those yesterday that came in from Mountain View.
Okay, let me ask, if I bring in like 3 or 4 people and we want to make, what's the turnaround time? Because I know, because an oven is involved in this, it's not going to be make it and walk out.
Correct. You're never taking anything home with you unless you're buying something that's already pre-made.
Okay.
So it's normally about a week turnaround time. Just, it kind of depends on how our kilns are. Sometimes your project might be ready the next day. Otherwise, it might be a week or so. It just kind of depends on how many other projects we're cooking and what type of cooking is required in the kiln.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you bring to the table? I mean, how long have you been doing something like this?
I've been doing glass for a little over 10 years now, and not my background. You know, I was a math nerd from college and had, you know, real jobs. And then once my husband and I discovered glass fusion, this became a passion of ours.
Well, it's a science, is it not?
There definitely is science. There are rules you have to follow. And so I think my math nerdiness kind of falls into that, you know, to help learn what the rules are and understand it and that kind of thing.
So you went to school for a good reason, so you could make glass the right way.
Yes.
Show us some of the things. You brought a few examples of things here.
Yeah, so you can make things such as bowls. This is just a fun, colorful, you know, these aren't hard cuts to make for this one. This is a great beginner project. You know, this is...
Wait, that's a beginner project?
Yes, definitely. Beginners can make this, because remember, they're just doing, you know, playing with the small pieces of glass and laying them down. This is also another easy beginner project. We get customers, couples do this a lot for our date night, like our Valentine's date night coming up. This is a popular one. You just pick a pretty piece of glass and then you're just adding some accents. And believe it or not, even though they're straight lines, if they're a little bit off, we can fill it with some crushed clear glass. So this piece has forgiveness built in, is what we like to say.
Okay, and let me ask you this. When you talk about the fusion, is that these were all individual things, like laid on a, like this solid piece of glass?
Correct.
And then the oven and the molds?
Yep. So this was a piece of clear, and then you had the piece of the centered piece. These are individuals for a second layer, and then the speckles and the kind of irregular pieces. This was called confetti and frit, which are also pieces of glass. So there's no paint. This is all glass that then is fused smooth.
One very quickly I want you to show is the flamingo here, because that is a lot of fun. But that's the kind of things people can make here.
Correct. So this is obviously a little bit more advanced, but you know, we have such beautiful glass here in the studio that you can just have fun with. And we have tools that you can use, because you can't freehand cut this neck. but we have a diamond ring saw,
Okay.
and we can teach you how to use it.
Okay.
So there are tools.
We've got just around a minute.
Okay.
Can you actually teach me how to cut a piece of glass?
I can have you cut a piece of glass
All right,
successfully.
let me see.
Okay.
I'm going to say maybe.
So you're going to take this tool. You're going to
Okay.
want this straight up and down.
Okay.
You're going to go from edge, focus on pushing down, go across the glass. You're going to take your running pliers, line this line up with that line, and simply break.
All right, I'm going to give that a shot because the last time I tried to cut glass, it cut me and it was shards. Okay, so straight up and down.
Yep, focus on pushing down.
Push down.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Grab your running pliers.
The running pliers.
Get lined up with your score line.
I think I got it.
And just a gentle squeeze.
Look, Ma, I cut glass. That is amazing. And this is just the start of what could one day end up as nice as this right here.
Correct.
This is incredible. How do people get more information about your shop? They want to maybe take lessons or even just shop here for some great Valentine's Day gifts.
So our information, we got lots of information on our website, creativeescapeglass.com. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and the Instagram page has over 2,500 photos of things that either I or customers have made to see examples.
All right, maybe one day you'll be a glass artist. Who knows, Rebecca? Thanks for having us by.
Thanks, Tom.
Back to you guys. Look at
that. Thanks so much, Tom. Joy, this seems like a really fun place to go and check out with friends, date night, kids, whatever that looks like could be a really fun activity.
Could be a lot of fun.
Yes, I love it. All right.